has a candidate who's deeply vulnerable.
And so now
and a
we're going to
president who
look
may not be
at the
able to take
post-debate
advantage of it.
analysis.
Listen, if anybody in America thinks that was even close to being an okay debate by Joe Biden, I'm living in a parallel universe. That was an unmitigated disaster for President Biden from the second he walked out to the closing statement.
Yeah,
the
Republicans trying to
is abortion.
That's what
he
he's going
couldn't
to
give an
say.
answer. He gave an
But,
answer.
you know,
He couldn't even.
it wasn't good, but no one expected good from him.
For Democrats tonight, I've heard from leading Democrats across the United States, elected governors, congressmen, who are texting me and saying, "I'm worried I'm going to lose if Joe Biden's at the top of the ticket." Bob Casey, I promise you tonight, in the state of Pennsylvania, is thrown up in his mouth because he knows that he's got to stand next to Joe Biden. He's going down in Pennsylvania. If he's on the ticket, I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, look, it was a really disappointing debate performance from Joe Biden. I don't think there's any other way to slice it. His biggest issue that he had to prove to the American people was that he had the energy, he had the stamina, and he didn't do that. And so I think
but no one was ever going to believe that.
And I think for a lot of Democrats, that's very disappointing. I will say Donald Trump also had some really rough moments in this debate.
The only reason that you could actually believe that he could turn up like this and make people forget about like the last 4 years that he's shown us falling from his bike, falling from the airplane stairs, falling all around and looking at the ceiling and looking away when everybody's expecting to be somewhere. Is when you live in that bubble where you pretend every day like he's doing great when everybody knows that that's not the case.
Really problematic answers about Putin. So, Donald Trump did not get off scot-free tonight by any stretch. But look, there is no two ways about it. That was not a good debate for Joe Biden.
Ben? That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. And he looked...
Oh, Van Jones. Van Jones.
The analysis, you kind of have
crucify
the
him now
versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our
could it be that the Democrats have already decided, okay, we don't want Joe Biden, we're going to make this first debate early, and then we're going to all attack him after live on CNN and say he has to step down because we already seeing in the polls that this thing is done.
To that, I think Joe Biden lost in the first 3 minutes. I think a lot of voters probably tuned out, and millions
and it's
of people
surprising because you would have
conversations with their
expected
families, with their
CNN to be on
friends,
the other
as if
side
the
and say,
president is
oh,
up to the
Joe
task,
Biden
and if
has
he should
done
step aside.
terrific.
And I'm someone
when
who
honestly,
believes the former
objectively, he
president
hasn't
is a threat to
done
democracy.
that bad. I mean, he's looked,
the
of
America
course,
as we know
feeble
it. He
and
wants to
like
fundamentally change our
disoriented and
institutions.
not sure
He's
what he's
laid out
saying,
what
but
his plan is.
he's been doing that for 4 years
the
now,
man
and
to
for
take
4
him on.
years
You
they've
cannot
been
tell me
saying, oh, that's
democracy is on the
okay.
line and then give that
And now all of a
performance
sudden
tonight.
they're all turning on him.
Based
What's
on that,
happening
in
here?
18 weeks, Donald Trump will be the president-elect.
The people doing focus groups tonight, and we'll see if our style group with Laura Coates confirms this, say that Biden actually scores pretty well on the issues when he's talking about the substance. And Trump's numbers went down both because he was ducking questions, he was lying about
this guy is like, okay,
he was refusing to answer.
You got to rectify the record here.
They don't like him. So when you see
Let's
that,
not kill his chances.
when you see sort of the statistics, you're going to look at like, oh, that's a mixed bag. But to Vance's point about the president's performance, that's what caused the panic.
As you point out, and as Kate knows very well, this is a guy with a lot of pride and who believes in himself. And the idea that he's going to say, you know what, I had a bad debate, I think I'm going to walk away from this, I find it hard to believe.
It was also, and I'll let you, I know, Scott, you've been trying to jump in, but it was also, it was an atypically bad performance, okay? And it was also one night. So yes, it was an important night, yes.
Typical, and
it was one night
actually it was a little bit better
so I think
than
let's see how
typical.
voters react to it.
Compared to falling from your bike, this is pretty good.
Is that it's a one night that helped confirm people's fears. It's the one night that
it really looks like a
watching.
concerted effort here on the CNN side to bury Biden.
And people are going to feel that he came up wanting, not on the substance. I think he actually won.
And let's not forget
I don't think Trump did well.
Gavin Newsom was on CNN just before the debate started.
But I don't know if we can beat him.
That's not a coincidence, considering if Joe Biden just retires from this race, Gavin Newsom is the first guy in the starting block.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Every single person out here.
It'll be another debate. I'm not sure Donald Trump's going to agree to a second debate. Biden's going to need it now. I'm not sure Trump's going to agree to it if the dynamics of the race change.
They'll never
and I would
meet
also
again.
watch the third party.
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Especially to you.
We're going to have to wait to see the poll numbers, but I don't see what they're
whatever
saying.
reason,
I don't think this is
there's a
going
change
to
at the top of the
significantly
ticket.
change the polls.
You guys are
I don't think people are going to see that and be like,
the guy who was up there
Trump was so
tonight
much better and Biden was
not a
so
guy
feeble.
Who's going to
It was like, yeah, you
inspire
knew
people.
Biden was like that going
He did
into
not
it.
show in any way that he has changed from the guy who.
Inflation. I think he went back to Afghanistan as he should have.
Do people really care about the
Was
substance
after he
of this
realized that he
debate?
had Biden beaten
That's the question.
on policy.
Do they care
and
about
on
what
image.
has been
He
said
should have
and the
turned
policies
page
that have been
and
proposed?
sounded an
Or is
optimistic
this
note
just
what we
about
can become
sort
as
of
a
the
people and
aura
as a
of the
country? He did not do
candidate
that. He
and
continued
his
to pummel
personality,
Joe
who he
Biden
is?
all night. I understand
Does he
what
look
you're
good or
saying.
not?
But at the end of the night, very few things about the policy exchanges is going to be remembered. People are going to remember
There we go.
Joe Biden.
He gets it.
Well, they're going to remember him shuffling out. They're going to remember him staring blankly into the camera. They're going
Yeah.
to remember him looking down.
That's going to
losing
be
his train
mean
of
for
thought.
sure.
And they're going to remember that everything.
But then
I
again,
thought
for
I
the
knew,
people
but the
who
White House
are
told me,
already
don't believe my own eyes, is
voting for
actually
him,
true.
But that's not
is it going to matter? Is it going to matter that he stared
Joe Biden
into
were not the candidate,
into
if
the
there was
abyss
another candidate,
for 2
then
hours?
Donald
No,
Trump
it's not
would
going to
be
matter.
Yeah, but actually, you guys had the
but
chance.
he had
Some of my Democratic friends were texting me saying, "I can't believe this is where we are." Right?
Yeah.
I can't. I don't forgive. I can't. I'm not going to be able to forgive the party for putting in this position.
Look,
But I also think
There it is.
Donald Trump's lies. I
He
mean,
definitely
I spent a lot
mentions
of
the
time
party.
thinking about
That's
this
what
throughout the
really
debate
matters.
because,
And
you know,
I think it
me in the
explains a little
media,
bit
I sit in the
the
chair
opinion
and I
around
fact check Trump all the
the
time,
set
so
on
I know these
CNN.
lies
It's
by
like
heart at this
they've
point.
received the
But people
message from
watching
the
from
higher
home
ups
do not.
at the Democratic
And
Party. Biden has to go.
Biden's job as
Doesn't
the other
look
person
like
on the other side of the
He
stage
can win
is
this.
to be
We
the
have to
one
replace
to
him.
very
Let's
quickly
engineer a
dispense with the
replacement,
lies and to
and
shut
let's
them
have
down. And
everybody
I don't think
criticizing
that
and
happened
dogpile
enough
on him
times
so
in a
that we can
coherent
pressure
way
him
to blunt
to just
the fact
resign
that Trump was
or
taking
not
a universe
represent
that was
himself.
built on a house of lies and building.
And I also think we should let voters absorb this and see what they say, right? Let's
Yeah,
look
they
at
might
the
surprise
ballots.
you,
Let's
might
look at
surprise
who
us.
let's look at where they
Let's
are
not
next
shape
week.
opinion
Our
too much
pronouncements,
because
but
maybe they
ultimately
didn't
voters
hate
have
it
to
as much
absorb
as
it. Let's
people
guys.
told us
Real
we
quick,
had to hate
On
it.
the one thing that that Biden did fact check him on the Charlottesville
minutes when Jake and Dana were setting the rules, so it's got to have been less than 10 minutes into the debate, and he totally lost his train of thought and ended up saying Medicare just out of the blue. You know, we've heard so much from the other panel, their reactions to this. I think ever since, and I've had this conversation so often, that after the midterms, if Joe Biden, after a remarkably successful first 2 years and a remarkably successful midterm for a first-term president, had said, you know, I'm the transitional president, and I'm moving on and sending it to another generation, but he was unwilling to do that, and Joe Biden was unwilling to do that.
Clearly,
And
they're
ever
trying to
since
pressure
then,
him.
We have been.
I'm just as you're
For
saying that, I'm
them
only
to
interrupting you,
want
Chris, because
to
that is a
can
watch party.
Biden
That's
when
live
he's
right
been
now.
their
Joe Biden,
best
Joe Biden's
weapon
joining
against
her
Trump is
at
really
the watch party
strange.
she was at in Atlanta. Obviously, a response that does not match what seems to be the broader response that they're cheering
Because
for him
now
right
they're
there, as you can see.
shaping the understanding
Come
of
on,
this
over here.
debate
Do we wanna watch
for
that,
their
or-
viewers.
No, we don't have to.
Okay, we're not.
And the people who
Anyway, I was
watch
just gonna say
CNN
that the two of them
are Biden
decided
voters.
After November of 2022, that he was going to seek the presidency when there were so many people who thought he should have turned it over to a new generation. And this has been,
And there
quite
he is,
frankly,
you know, there he's saying it
car
now. Like, it's
accident
been a
in
while
slow
that
motion
we've been
we've
wanting
seen
him
over
to
and building
just give up.
and questioning it. And, you know, as has been pointed out, Joe Biden sought this debate at this remarkably early time because he knew he was losing and he needed to change the narrative.
Yeah,
And
it
he did
looks
change
more
the
and more
narrative.
like they're
He
trying
sunk
to
his campaign
engineer
to that.
Well,
this
and we're in the
replacement
spin room
of
right now.
Biden
This
at
is
the
where
last
the
moment.
surrogates and allies of the campaign
And of
come
course,
to spin their
having
candidates'
a debate
respective
so
performances,
early
and it is going to be an immense
sets
challenge
up the stage
for
for
Biden
that.
surrogates. We have Governor
Which
Gavin
it
Newsom
never
here,
happens
and
that you
also
have a
Georgia
debate
Senator
that
Raphael
early.
Warnock in the back of the room. There are Trump campaign.
So just in this moment, he's at a watch party. They're cheering 4 more years. He's speaking. What I'm curious about, okay, is does he know how bad this was at this moment? He walked out
No,
to
he
his
doesn't
aides.
know.
Does he know?
He never
hear him a little
realized
bit on
it.
the
If he
mic.
doesn't know, that's more alarming than anything. You know, he's not the first president who's had a really...
He's
So we
killing
can hear it.
him.
Why don't we listen to a little bit of it?
Chris Wallace.
Heading to North Carolina. All right.
It's going to be a big disappointment for Joe Biden when his team tells him you've done terrible at this debate.
Thank you.
But his terrible was not, again, it wasn't much more terrible than the last 4 years.
All right, so there he is. Thank you, thank you. The rousing applause going to that party.
Okay, he wasn't a third that vibrant or vigorous inside the debate body.
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally, I think a lot of Americans saw Donald Trump they recognized tonight, right? His mannerisms, his quickness in his
And
response.
didn't they
and,
saw
as
Joe
you talked
Biden they
about,
recognized?
lies and
Yeah,
information
you
that was
totally
incorrect.
recognize both of the candidates.
Unfortunately, they also
Their
saw
usual
Joe
self.
Biden maybe they don't recognize. This is not the person who was quick on
Where
his feet
has she been?
fast
Where
to
have they
parry
been
or
living?
to respond
Where
quickly,
in their
to
imagination,
misinformation,
Joe
to respond
Biden
quickly
was
to
like
lies.
a strong, vibrant, and
Joe Biden in a long
cognitively
time.
in shape
Well, I mean,
person.
my comment
This was a
it-
culmination of a process.
Perhaps, but it also was stark. You know, before I went
It
into
wasn't
this conversation,
stark.
I thought about
That's
the
exactly
idea
the same
of
thing as
infirm
usual.
versus unstable.
Just
and
a
I
few
think that
weeks
Joe
ago,
Biden
he
did
was at
not
the
do enough to
G7
mitigate the
looking at
idea
the
that he was
sky
infirm,
while
and
everybody was
Donald Trump
looking
was able
at
to mitigate looking
whatever was
unstable.
happening.
When I think about how he talked about abortion, for instance, here we are in one of the most bizarre moments, right? The idea that actually on January 6th, there was a lot of good things happening. And if you just think back to that time, it was just so sort of a wild way to spin that. And again,
Yeah, that was a great
well,
spin.
it would be less if the
Where
president
he
could respond
managed to
it.
bring
Right.
that from a
But-
big L for an M
Yeah.
into somewhat of a
Chris,
win.
He goes through 6 days of preparation.
That was
at
definitely
Camp
prepared.
David.
That was
And
definitely
they know the
something that
rules.
he had
Okay,
prepared
and
with his
so more than a
team.
week.
When
They
they
know the
attack you
rules.
on
He
January
practices
6th,
with the
right
mics.
away
He
you
knows
talk
every one
about
of
what
these
the
questions
situation
is
was then.
And yet he couldn't fill the
With
time.
the
Now,
rest
I just
of
want
the
to let's see what the
country.
White House is saying. Sources close to the White House are saying
And you
he
take
had
that
a
moment to
cold,
turn
wasn't
that L
feeling
into
well.
a
I mean,
win.
as you would expect, and that came out early on in the debate. But what accounts for someone with so much experience?
But I
doing
think
so much preparation
overall,
and this
one of
good
the
outcome?
strategies that he used
question
to
answers
be
itself.
able
He
to
wasn't capable of
do
doing
better
any
than
better than he
Biden in
did.
this debate
He
was
had
always
all-
countering
They're
with
prepared
multiple
to not go
points
over the 2
from
minutes.
multiple issues.
He was
And
incapable
really the
tonight
strategy was
on
to
the
confuse
biggest of
Biden,
stages
to
that
use
he
those
saw.
moments
He, in
to
effect,
make
dictated,
Biden lose
and
track
with all
of
that
what was the
preparation,
subject
he was
and
incapable of doing better
have
than he
to
was.
to
And you
separate
can't
his
come back
answer
from that.
into
You can't
different
be in a state where
segments,
tens of millions of
which
Americans
became
watched
difficult
you
for
and come
Biden
up
to
empty,
keep
and that's what he
all
did
of that inside
He
his
almost seemed a bit
mind,
nervous at the beginning.
considering his faculties now.
We could read all kinds of things into the facial expressions and, you know, the utterances, but I think at the end of the day, we heard the partisan panel start to wistfully look in the air and talk about what if he wasn't on the ticket. And I think that kind of language and the kinds of things that you're going to see over the next 24 hours is really going to be the important conversation. This debate was early. Is it early enough for there to be some other discussion?
Oh, yeah, they're going
more
there.
fulsome, taken more seriously.
Yeah, so
and
the,
we'll
the
find
thing that
out.
everybody has
And
been
one of the
expecting
questions I
now
have
is becoming
Who,
true.
if Joe and
But
Joe
why so
Biden
late?
don't
That's
make
the
that
real
decision
question. Why so
on
late?
their own,
If they
is
were,
there anybody
if
in
they
the
were
party,
going
because, you know, the party's system has been so
take
weak.
Biden
There were a
out,
group
why
of people that came
wait
to Richard
now?
Nixon
Or is
in
it just
August
because
of
they want Biden to
1974
take
and said, you know what?
responsibility
You gotta
and
leave.
have
You're-
him
you have 4
take,
votes in the,
you
in
know,
the Senate,
all
and
those
you either
negative
resign or you're
subjects
gonna
that
be
have been
removed from
happening
office. I'm
all
not sure
over
there's
the beginning of
anybody
this
with that
year,
kind of authority
and so
in the
that
Democratic
the next
Party
guy who
who could go
comes,
to Joe
he
Biden and
doesn't
say,
comes
"It's
with the
time to
stain
say
of
goodbye."
the
And they
terrible
said that
policies
President
that
Biden
we've
had a
had
cold and that he was
all this
recovering
year.
from that. I mean,
Yeah.
that came about 50 minutes into the
Into
debate.
They were nervous going into this. They had done extensive preparation, despite the fact that they said that Donald Trump didn't need to prepare. They had even been watching old video clips. They are very happy tonight on their way
They're
to
watching
Virginia,
old
where
video
they'll hold a
clips
rally tomorrow.
as if this was
Holmes,
the
thanks
Super
very
Bowl
much.
or
Back
something.
Here, with the team outside
Yes, this
the
video
debate
analyst
hall.
that's looking at Biden's Biden's defense.
junking. I mean, what What happens now?
Well, a couple things happen. Number one, we wait. I would say we should wait. We won't, but we should wait a week and see how this settles out in the polling.
Yeah, we're going to see if the Democrats are really going to give up on Biden.
What happens right now is I would just say that if the Trump people
maybe they'll pull Newsom out of a hat.
We'll see if that holds up.
You have to think about it. If you're Gavin Newsom, why would you want to take on this campaign now?
Who were talking to people in focus groups and doing dial groups,
such a bad
Trump
step
actually fared pretty poorly.
You know, you can just wait another 4 years, and
so
then
I don't think
you have a
we don't have
golden
any evidence
ticket.
before us right now, in the hour after it ended, that Trump gained a lot of new voters. Put it that way,
So
right?
who are they going to put? If it's not Gavin Newsom, because I don't think he's going to take it. You know, he has no reason to take.
He's going to get 40-something. Did he grow tonight?
Kamala
I'm a little skeptical of that.
Or
the main issue, though, is the
somebody
president
else.
of the United States, the incumbent.
Pete Buttigieg, it
Again,
seems
I don't know that the old rules
he's
apply
out of the
because he's running
picture.
as the
You know,
former
maybe
president.
before, but now he's done such
this is my
a
10th
terrible
one of these,
job.
and when the incumbent
The
is
Biden
running,
administration,
the American people
there is
are
no
being
one
asked,
to replace him.
keep what you got.
Or they're going to pull somebody out of a hat, like they pulled Joe Biden out of a hat
performance from a president
4 years
who, when he
ago.
walked on stage, knew the fundamentals of this.
I think on substance, Biden did fine, but that wasn't the big question about Biden. But here's the thing. People can love Joe Biden. Lots of Democrats
we're used to
I
it
worked with him. I
now.
have
If it was the
deep
first
respect for
time
him.
that we were
But as
seeing
you said
Joe
earlier,
Biden and
the
he was
stakes are
pulling that,
enormous. You said
when we
democracy's
all
on the
saw him
line.
as someone who
And
was
so it
competent and
becomes
capable,
less an issue about
then of course it'd
loyalty
be
to one
worrying.
person
But
than to the
for the
idea
last 4
of
years, we've
how
seen him
much are you
stumbling
willing to
around,
fight
and
for?
it's like,
And
well, we know this is a guy who stumbles around.
So I think that point came across. But the other point that came across
Oh,
was the sense of
yeah,
urgency.
on the other side. Here she is. We got to cut
we are
them
now
here.
at this
Even
tipping
step
point.
aside. What do you say to that?
Listen, first of all, what we saw tonight is the president making a very clear contrast with Donald Trump on all of the issues that matter to the American people. Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And what became very clear through the course of the night is that Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people, on substance, on policy, on performance. Joe
It's
Biden
tough. It's tough when you have her as a number two try to defend you when she's just as inarticulate as you are.
Clearly was disappointing for his supporters. CNN is reporting Democratic lawmakers watching the debate were worried about the president's performance. One said it was a disaster. Another called it a train wreck. Those are Democrats especially worried that Biden did not punch back on Trump's lies.
Listen, people can debate on style points, but ultimately this election and who is the president of the United States has to be about substance. And the contrast is clear. Look at what happened during the course of the debate.
Maybe it's a good style.
Donald Trump lied over and over and over again as he...
Vice President Biden 4 years ago, and he was a very different person on the stage 4 years ago when you debated him. You must, I mean, that's certainly true.
No, he's perfect. No difference.
Anderson, the point has to be performance.
When she starts to laugh, she has this nervous laugh. When she's in a difficult situation, she just starts to laugh hysterically.
No, but I got the point that you're making about a 1.5 hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
But
whether
is that
it be
the man
infrastructure,
who we
the
saw
former
on the
guy, the
stage
other
tonight?
guy,
Is that
the other guy on the debate stage?
It's like she's gonna cry.
The person that you saw on the debate stage
he's killing.
that has for the last 3.5
He's killing your
years,
administration. You're killing me, Mark.
performed in a way that has been about, whether it be in the Oval Office, negotiating bipartisan deals, so that we have an infrastructure, a real infrastructure plan where we're putting trillions of dollars on the streets of America to upgrade our infrastructure.
Yeah, that
whether
wasn't
it be
something
the
to
person
brag
I see
about.
in the Oval
Consequences
Office,
were terrible.
who is meeting with heads of the military and the intelligence community.
So Biden is somebody that is always, the media always says he's empathetic, and yet his policies have intentionally driven up the costs of living for Americans all throughout this country, and he seems not to be willing to do anything about it.
All right, Governor DeSantis, thank you. And I'm sorry you have to put up with me now as a resident of your home state as well. I apologize
And so we see a lot,
advance, but I do
we
vote
see a lot
conservatively
of
and Republican. So
the Republicans here
people, if you're gonna move to Florida,
focusing
that's fine.
really on the policies, not even on the debate and what has been said during the debate, but really what is really the policy difference and stuff that have not even been talked about during the debate, and just focusing on that instead of focusing on the debate. Probably, as far as the debate goes, it was easy for everybody to see that Joe Biden didn't pull the performance that the Democrats were hoping. And all these guys are smiling, and so they don't need to rehash that, and now they're just going to be surrogates for the Trump campaign and drill home the talking points of the Republicans.
100,000 new manufacturing jobs and bringing manufacturing back to the United States, not shipping jobs out like Donald Trump did. So that's the
She's
Joe
getting
Biden I know.
emotional.
Vice President Kamala Harris, I appreciate your time tonight.
Rebuting all the attacks from Anderson
Thank
Cooper.
you. Good to be with you.
Back with the panel,
Good
joining
to
us
be
as
with
well
you.
as
Like,
Biden biographer Evan Osnos.
Couldn't be less sincere.
Evan Osnos, you have watched President Biden a lot. What did you make of tonight's performance?
I don't think there's any other way to put it. This was clearly a person who was diminished from where he was on the debate stage 4 years ago. I think for a lot of Americans who don't follow politics closely, they saw that and they were shocked. I will tell you, Anderson, what I see now and over the course of the next few hours and days is that it's going to come down partly
Julius Caesar
to
being
how Joe Biden makes
stabbed in the
sense of
Senate.
this, because his
They're all
self-mythology
coming out with the daggers
has
and
always
just
been,
stabbing
okay,
him
I'm
in
the
the
guy
back.
that gets knocked down and I get back up. That is, in some ways, it could be a real impediment to him if he's not going to be able to listen clearly to what people around him are going to say. There has to be some very hard conversations, and if he is in some ways occluded by that story that he tells himself that he can always prevail, that's going to interfere with his ability to be a clear strategic thinker.
And the panel here, John King.
I just want to make an observation about your interview with the vice president. The Republicans are going to probably disagree with me, but I think one of the greatest acts of political malpractice I have seen in my lifetime doing this is that they kept her under wraps for 3 years. Now she's out on the road. She has great appeals. Does she have weaknesses? Yes. Do Republicans view her as a liability? Yes. Are her polling numbers great? No. But she has appeal with the pieces of the Biden coalition where he is hurting the most. And when you go into inner city Milwaukee, what do Black Americans say? Where's the vice president? Where has she been?
No,
they want the
not saying
president
that.
too.
No one's saying that.
She's right there. Is she feisty
She's
communicator?
the person you
good on
want
television,
far from the
and they
media,
kept her under wrap for 3 years.
more
Now
than
she's out there busy on the
Biden.
campaign trail. I know in places, I know in Republican places, you'd beat her up. But in a close competitive race, when you need all hands on deck, that is an asset that should have been working for them from day one.
What?
And Joe Biden was vice president for 8
Have
years.
they
If there's
never
anyone who
listened
should
to
have
her talk?
understood
How she
hard it
makes
is to
no
be vice
sense?
president, how hard it is to establish an identity as vice
How she
president.
just keeps
it's
on
him.
nervously
And,
laughing
again,
for no
she's turned
reason
through staff. She has issues.
when she
There's
doesn't
no
have
question
anything
about it.
to
But she
say.
also has potential star power. And on issues like reproductive
Star
rights
power?
and then the black street
Are these
community,
people insane?
she is a great
So
asset
here it
to this
is,
team, and they have kept her under wraps.
Gavin
I would say
Newsom
two
probably
things,
just
John.
texted him and was like, I'm
she
not
was in charge
taking
of the
this
border.
job.
She
You
could
have to prop up
that was her
Kamala
job
now.
to begin at the beginning of the presidency. I think she was largely absent from that. So
let me just take the other side of this Kamala Harris debate. It is a fair question to ask right now, what is going on inside the White House every day? Is she currently making more decisions in the White House than we know?
No, she's not.
Who is making
for sure.
decisions in the White House right now? We're talking about this in
Not
terms
him,
of
not
Joe
her.
Biden win an election and serve for 4 years. I want to know what's happening on a day-to-day basis. To me, she is the big story tonight because her position in this administration, in this campaign, has become magnified by 1,000 right now.
All right.
Well, but she's always. Oh.
Sorry, we got
Absolutely
to
not.
take a break. Given all the talk tonight about the truth, the lies, and the debate
All
stage, we're
right,
joined by the
that's
fact checker
enough.
Daniel Day.
So in the end, their take is very different from what I expected. Really, I would have expected CNN to come out, all out, to defend Joe Biden and to be behind him and to say, he was great. Everything that you saw, you were wrong about. He was great. He was terrific. And he was drilling all the points home that he needed to drill. And that's not at all what happened. And I'm quite surprised by that, actually. They're really throwing him under the bus. They want him gone. There's no other words there to explain that they want him gone. Now, who do they want to replace him? I have no idea, and I don't think they have any idea of what they would be suggesting. And that's why they brought Kamala Harris in at the last moment to maybe try to save the Biden campaign, or maybe try to prop her up as a replacement as a president for Biden. But really surprised here to see CNN throwing Biden under the bus. On the other side, of course, there was no surprise. Fox News coming out and just saying, oh, Trump did great. They would have said that anyway, so that's not surprising. But yeah, the reaction of CNN here, quite surprising. And to me, it looks like they're trying to set up something, maybe set up someone to replace Biden. But I don't see this happening at all. I don't see Biden giving up. I don't see his administration, Kamala Harris, all these people deciding, okay, we're going to let the DNC run this show, and we're just going to give up and let them have it and have a shot at going for the presidency. Not going to happen. Biden is going to fight all the way down. He's not going to let them do that. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'll see you on the next one. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of our videos.